If you asked me 2 years ago what my favorite anime were and what I consider the best anime of all time, it probably consists of like Summertime Rendering, Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball Z, Slime, and the Fate series. All those are still on there, by the way, with some new additions, but I'm not gonna lie, there's a couple that I haven't seen since my first watch of them, and Fate is one of them. I feel like it's about that time to start Phase Zero again. Going into this rewatch, I already knew that it was going to be one of the best anime ever, but I guess I needed a refresher course on why and what made me love it so much. And it's pretty safe to say that this shit is still elite in every aspect, gang. Being able to watch through like a different lens just made it feel like I was watching a new show altogether. Before, I was straight like an action junkie, so like to get me, all you really needed was like some flashy and visually appealing fight scenes with a good amount of fights, and you pretty much got me at that point. Now, don't tweet. I still like fight scenes now, but I pay attention a lot now. So if it's like a story-driven narrative, I'm definitely locked in when it comes to the narrative of the show. So I'm looking forward to this, but that's enough yapping, folks. Let's get into it. So, you know we do things right here. First, we start off with the story. The story in Fate is actually super unique now that I'm taking a more objective look at the show. And I think it still offers one of the best narratives in all of anime, even after the rewatch. Like I said, it's been a few years since I've watched this. It damn near feel like watching this for the first time again. The beginning sequence was actually really refreshing to watch again. It's cool to see all these familiar faces again. I definitely had a couple, oh, I remember this nigga type moments. One thing that I think they did really well in the beginning that I didn't notice before is them already like foreshadowing internal conflicts for certain characters from the moment we see them. When we first get introduced to Emiya and his wife Iris just birthed their daughter Ilya, and bro couldn't look any more depressed. Nigga looked like he wanted a son. Like that's how sad he looked. He was just across the room looking out the window. Actually, I think one of the first times he opens his mouth, he says, "I will be the cause of your death." Like, okay, like I could tell you didn't have a baby shower, and I could tell you didn't bust that fit in that sacred Burberry shirt during said baby shower. Didn't even glance over, folks. Iris was telling him to come hold his daughter, and I think he said he's not worthy to hold her, almost as if he's afraid to tame her type shit. We can kind of see the way he was acting, and like he was dealing with a lot of shit, and gang, what did DJ Drummer say? And that's only the intro. Cause nigga, we ain't even know the half of it. Karia's conflict was a little bit more obvious and on the nose because the catalyst was his initial interaction with Aioi and Rin. Once he found out they sent Sakura to the Mato family, he already had something to fight for. And him being from the Mato family, he knows that the head of the family, Zoken, is a sick ass nigga. So he's wondering what kind of sick nigga would send his daughter to a place like this. So he already had beef with Rin and Sakura's father. Kirai's conflict was a little bit more complex and harder to see. You could tell something was wrong, but I think it was more through his lack of emotional response or lack of emotion in general. Like, we found out that he's like an executioner pretty early on, but he was kind of on the other side of the spectrum than Emiya was, because they're both executioners. Emiya hides his emotions, and you can see he's trying to hide them, and you can see he's tired of going through shit. But Kirai doesn't have any connections to anyone, and it seems like he's just like an emotional black hole. But as time unfolds, he starts to realize that he actually has desires, but he doesn't know what he desires, so that's why he's participating in the Grail War to find the answer. The whole dynamic of the Grail War was actually pretty unexpected too. See, when you watch Fate for the first time, by the tone of it, it seemed like it's just gonna be a straight up like battles between the servants, and it's just gonna be like straight up fights in a somewhat like unorganized fashion, if that makes sense. And I'm not gonna lie, in my first watch, I didn't expect the servants to be like so much more than just pawns to fight, but Fate did a good job of making them feel just as important as their masters. They get used to the current world, and they have their own motives for the Grail themselves, and they even have these real like well-written dialogues with their masters and other servants, which challenges their life philosophies and ideas. And there's quite a few examples of this that I really want to talk about, so let's get into them. The first notable example was tossed between Gilgamesh, Ryder, and Saber. This is probably one of the one times in the story that I thought Saber was being a straight up dickhead, but Gilgamesh being here made this funny as hell. So if you don't remember, Ryder invites Saber and Gilgamesh because they're kings, and he invites them to have a drink and pick their brains to see what their philosophy is when it comes to being a king and what being a king is to them. First things first, it's funny as hell, I gotta mention this, Gilgamesh took a sip of that wine that Ryder bought, and then he was like, damn boy, this shit weak. And he fucking pulled some Casamigos out of Babylon. And like, this just funny as hell, for he just got the shit talking the entire time. But Ryder says that he wants to conquer the world with the Grail. He talks about his escapades from his past life and how he used to take to build his empire and earn the title of King of Conquerors. Ryder talks about how being loud and greedy are qualities of a good leader, and it lights a spark from within your followers and makes them want to be more like you. And I think Gilgamesh shares his ideals on what kings should be as well. I forgot what he said specifically, but Saber just shits on both of their philosophies. Like, straight up, like, just calls whatever they believe in stupid type shit. And then she shares hers. And then this nigga Gilgamesh just gets to cackling at her goof ass. And Ryder just got to cooking her shit after he heard why she wanted the Grail. Then her little immature ass was like ready to fight niggas. Like, nah, sit your fathead ass down somewhere, dude. I hate niggas that try to criticize everyone, but can't take no criticism for themselves. Saber was being an absolute dickhead right here, I hated it. Another example of this, Saber's final battle versus Lancer. And gang, I can't sit here and not talk about this episode, bro. It's probably one of my favorite episodes in the show, because Emiya is a savage-ass, funny-ass nigga. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't notice the first time. The second time around, it looked like Emiya was just trying to be cool. Like, the nigga was actually trying to do everything in his power to carry out Saber's wishes and actually respect the 1v1 and give her the fight that she's been waiting for this whole time. He was being quiet and shit. He was negotiating, not trying to distract Saber in her long way to fight against Lancer. I thought he was just playing it smooth, but he respected the duel, folks. Hell no. So he makes this deal with Caleb, and he makes Caleb sign this unbreakable agreement. And one of the terms are he must forfeit his command seals and drop out of the war. So I'm like, okay, that's reasonable. Lancer probably gonna still be there. In exchange, Emiya literally won't be able to kill him. And considering that he has every advantage right now, it'd be stupid not to sign it. So he does. All of a sudden, this nigga Lancer just stabs himself mid-fight and just get to screaming out shit like, you an anti-chivalrous ass bitch. I knew I should have left your grimy ass alive. I should have known you wasn't gonna respect the one. It's cool. You gonna have to respect the ones when I meet you down in hell, because I'm gonna beat the shit out of you when you get there. Then the nigga Emiya reveals the extra term of the agreement that they did not say, which said that Caleb had to use his remaining command spells to make Lancer kill himself. And I was like, damn, Emiya, you a cold-hearted ass nigga. But it gets worse. So Kano sitting there rolling up to folks in the wheelchair like, hey folks, so the contract is active, right? You can't kill me, right? Emiya say, hell no, I can't. And then all of a sudden, this nigga Kano getting hit with some big shit. Bullets was eating this nigga chest alive, folks. Then that nigga Emiya pull out a square and says, well, I can't. Blow the smoke out that bitch for a walked off. And it comes to Maya horoscoping the motherfucking MW2 Watts 2000. Emiya gang, I'm not gonna lie, you lose a couple points for the square. But that was some cold-hearted shit, and I loved every bit of it. That ain't even really what I wanted to talk about for real. That scene was just funny as hell. And it just brings me joy every time I talk about it. When Saber got mad at him for this is the part that I wanted to initially talk about. I think this is where Emiya finally started to explain himself to Saber for the first time. And this is a crazy good exchange. Emiya wasn't even talking directly to her to begin with. He was talking through Iris to her, because he said that she shouldn't even talk directly with a scumbag like him. And he was sitting there smiling to Iris, saying that this is the first time that you've seen the way he killed. And it's like damn near disturbing seeing him like smile through that shit, but you can tell there's pain behind it. But then the real gold here is actually finding out what Emiya thinks of the world and his role in it. We all know by now that Saber has this real justice-oriented, knight-like mindset, and we kind of know that Emiya don't really see, like her and Emiya don't really see eye to eye to begin with. But they both had one common goal, and that's to save the world. But here is where we actually get to see the difference in their methods of saving the world. See, where Saber plans on taking on all the world's sins and negativity and still taking the tragic hero route and still trying to do good and carry on that burden, Emiya, on the other hand, plans to do the same thing, but taking on that evil and negativity and bringing upon a darker version of justice where he seemingly kills all the people that he thinks need to be killed and the people in his way of making the world peaceful. And instead of playing the hero role, he's perfectly fine with being looked at as this true embodiment of evil and complete darkness. He's completely ready to be scapegoated, and it only makes you think like, damn, who hurt you, nigga? Like, what the hell? Might as well stay on the topic of Emiya. And you didn't have to wait too long to figure out who hurt him, because the next 2 episodes after this was Emiya backstory episodes. And damn, boy. And remember when I said earlier, like, we ain't know shit about his pain yet? Yeah, this is what I was referring to. So, Emiya started off as a pretty normal child, right? He grew up with his father and his close friend Shirley. His father was pretty much outcasted by the rest of the island because he practices magic, but Shirley still worked under him as an associate. One thing that his dad works on is his medicine that makes things immortal. And Shirley wanted to prove that Emiya's dad wasn't such a bad person by using the medicine on herself. But when it backfires and she turns into a ghoul, the whole village gets infected and everyone he knows and loves dies. He confronts his father about it, And this nigga, Emiya's father, has zero remorse or feels zero sympathy for all the lives that he's ruined. And he just prioritizes escaping with his son and then continuing this fucked up research and possibly experimenting on more people in the future, causing more death. Emiya as a shorty, mind you, Emiya probably like 9, 10 years old here. Emiya as a shorty kills his father with no hesitation, despite him fully being aware of his emotions and how he feels about doing it. And one of these ladies that helped him eliminate the ghouls, named Natalia, ends up taking him under her wing. So that's pretty bad already, right? Nigga, we ain't done. So, with his first body being his father, ever since, he been killing niggas at an extremely young age. He been killing niggas as a shorty. And he's been watching innocent niggas die since he was a kid too. So basically, he's been turned into this ruthless killing machine. As he's growing the bond with his master, you would think like, at least he has her, right? Hell no, she gets trapped on a plane full of ghouls. And I ain't gonna lie, this shit was funny as hell. But it's messed up too. This nigga, he drives the boat to where the plane gonna fly past and pulls a javelin out and RPGs that bitch out of the sky, killing his master and everyone on that plane. Like, god damn, this nigga life is horrible. Jesus Christ. Still ain't over. Fast forward to the present, bro. They go back to the present after the backstory episodes are over. Emiya's wife, Iris, is dying. He visits his dying wife, and he knows she's about to die very soon. Like, just naturally. Like, she's about to revert back to her Grail content homunculus form. That makes sense. His subordinate and his other lover dies as well. And his currently dying wife gets fucking upgraded to expedited shipping and ends up dying to the hands of his worst enemy. Gang. Bro, Emiya is a pretty solid contender for worst life in anime. But I guess his story could have ended worse. At least after the aftermath of the war, he actually saved someone, which is all that he really ever wanted, which was beautiful. But the iceberg, because he didn't win the Grail, they're not letting him see his daughter. So he lost his daughter Emiya as well, too, which is crazy. Now, let's talk about some plot twists, because there was some crazy ones in here, I'm not gonna lie. Gilgamesh instigating to the point where Kirei betrayed Ren's father is crazy. Because it makes you think if Gilgamesh didn't cry, if this nigga would just shut the fuck up, Kirei probably wouldn't have acted on any of this, in my opinion. This limited some of the unnecessary bloodshed throughout this war. He really a funny ass nigga, but you can't be mad at him because he said that this was all for his entertainment at the beginning of the war. And he really meant that shit. Lives don't mean shit to him. Berserker being Sir Lancelot was a pretty surprising one, and it clears up something from earlier on in the story, and I love how they did this. I'm pretty sure there was a moment when they were fighting, it was a rider, Lancer, and Saber fighting Castor. It's like Castor's final stand, and I'm pretty sure like Gilgamesh and Berserker were fighting, and in the middle of the fight, Berserker just fucking aggro Saber like the Godskin duo or some shit. And like, I was like, why did he do that? It made me like confused, and I think Waver was even confused. And it was a hell of a mystery, but it makes sense now. It makes a lot of sense now why he did that. Gilgamesh getting the physical form in the world is so wild, but I'm here for it. He brings an amazing energy to the show, and I'm glad he came back and stayed night. This is a little bit more of a light one, but the old guy finding out that Waver isn't actually his grandson is actually pretty wholesome too. I ain't gonna lie, my fault, gang. I need to throw something lighthearted there, bro. This show dark as hell. There was actually one thing that I couldn't wrap my head around, and it was Iris and her relationship with the Grail itself. So I know she's like the concept of the Grail, and I think I get the whole sequence. Like, I get the whole sequence with Emiya being shown his inner self by the Grail and him refusing it. But what does Ilia's dream, Iris, and the Grail all have in common? I really can't make sense of it, because that was like a pretty like convoluted part right there. I'm pretty sure it's some cheat code that I would never know in my life. So comment down below if you know, because I would like to know like the lore on that. But otherwise, Phase Zero easily has one of the best narratives I've ever followed, and that doesn't just go for anime. I mean in all the fictional media that I've consumed in my life so far, which is crazy to say, but it's true. Hey, you there? If you made it this far into the video, first off, I would like to say thank you. And second off, you gotta be enjoying this motherfucker, so do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe button. If you're this far in, and you here just to hate, I congratulate you too. You probably one of the most patient dick eaters on the planet, and I appreciate the watch time. Goofy. Now let's move on to characters and character interactions. Saying the characters in Fate are good is like a major understatement. I genuinely believe that every character we meet in this show is super interesting. What the a couple exceptions. So let's talk about these servants and masters. Obviously, we gotta start with the GOAT, bro. Emiya damn near my favorite anime character of all time. I love how much of a savage folks is, and I appreciate how realistic he is, because we don't see a lot of characters in anime with a mindset like he has. I'm not gonna lie. I know I stay saying this, but this trope gonna hit every single time. He's super relatable, man. He's not just some ice cold killer nigga like Kirei is. When Emiya kills niggas, although he doesn't show it immediately, that shit been weighing on his mind his whole life since he was a shorty, gang. The Grail has already showed us this, and he even showed us this in his refusal of the Grail as well. He's been put into so many situations where he's had to sacrifice loved ones, or the situation where his loved ones died right in front of him, and he's cried every time it's happened, signifying that this is some shit that he's tired of. He's tired of losing loved ones. Look at what he said when he adopted Shiro. He said that Ilya was the last thing he was ever gonna lose, and he meant that shit. Me knowing what loss feel like, obviously not to this scale, of course, I hate that feeling, I'm not gonna lie. You never really get used to a person you love and fuck with so much just not being there. There's always gonna be some trigger or something that you always used to do with them that's gonna familiarize you with the damn, they're gone type feeling. You get tired of that shit. You get angry at how the world is, and you start looking for methods to prevent it from happening again. But ultimately, you realize that even if a person was taken away from you prematurely, that's just how the world is. And in the process, it makes you want to protect what you have right now in front of you. And that's exactly what he did. Emiya getting some kind of closure is pretty good to see, gang. I love the exchange at the very end between him and Shiro. He tells Shiro that he can't be a hero no more. He explains and says because being a hero has a time limit and he's long past it. And Shiro said to him, that's fine, I'll just be a hero for you. That statement must have gave Emiya an immeasurable amount of relief and relaxation. Especially since at that moment during all that hero talk, he probably was just thinking about how much shit he's lost and how much shit he's destroyed and the lives that he's taken away. So I'm really glad to finally see him A, not be alone, and B, be able to live his actual dream throughout his son. I think that's pretty raw. Emiya is a phenomenal ass character, bro. And his ideals may seem crazy at first, but once you see his circumstances, it makes a lot of sense because he's seen way more shit than I've seen. I think Saber's pretty cool too. Although she's extremely stubborn in Phase Zero, I genuinely think that her ideals are some that I have as well, or used to, I should say. She be wanting to just take on the burdens of everyone around her and just play that tragic hero role. She feels responsible for everyone's problems, and although that's a super good guy way to approach things, it's just simply not realistic. It's just too much for one to handle. That's why you need to keep good company. What's that saying? It takes a village, and a village means that people have their own strengths and their own will to fight for themselves too. It's already hard enough to bear the weight of your own burdens and sins, so taking on other people's has to be exhausting. And Saber eventually realized that Ryder was frying her ass. There was some truth to what he was saying, although he lost her. The way Saber's story ended in Phase Zero was actually pretty unfortunate though, because she was transported back square into her biggest regret and her biggest failure, while retaining the memories of the Grail War. Not being able to understand Emiya and why he told her to destroy the Grail, and just not getting why he used the command cells and made her do that with no reason and nothing like that. And also dealing with the pain of not getting her wish granted, of undoing her failure in general and being just square back in what she wanted to undo and why she participated in it. It's kind of wild. Saber is a really cool character too, and I enjoyed every bit of her. Even though she wasn't the most emotionally intelligent and kind of stubborn person in the roster, I like Saber a lot. Ryder and Waver are a really good duo. I don't think I really paid too much attention to their friendship on my first watch, but after finishing this a second time, I've really grown to like and appreciate them. Ryder is a big brother to Waver, and Waver just kind of trying to prove himself to Ryder secretly. But it's a trade-off though. Ryder lacks knowledge of the world that he's in, and Waver is lacking in ideas of what strength looked like, and they're able to make up for what each other lack. One of my favorite moments between the two is definitely when Waver tried to drop out of the war and use all his command spells because he felt like he was holding Ryder back. And Ryder lets him know he wants him to charge into battle with him because he's still his friend. Him telling Waver to live on and see his dream through is pretty cool, especially considering that Waver plans on traveling now, which is a pretty small detail that I thought was really dope. Ryunosuke and Caster might be the sickest duo in all of fiction. These two niggas should have never met each other. I'd rather have Tommy, Kane, and Ghost running through the streets of Chicago than to ever let Castor and Ryunosuke link up again, nigga. These two niggas ain't even know about the Grail or the Holy Grail War in general. They was just killing kids the entire time with they sick ass. Castor know he wrong for doing that little boy like that. Castor know he wrong for that shit. He really set that little nigga free and greeted him with a gold camo customer service smile just to watch folks hit that corner and get baited right into a Lethal Company monster. Shorty was on maps and didn't let know that the bracken was right around that damn corner. I'm glad they got them out of there, bro. I'm not gonna lie. The thought of, like, it's crazy because they burned down their lair and Ryunosuke had the nerve to say, why would God let someone do this? Like, fo, you dead ass? Nigga Tombo, we must replenish our supplies. He's talking about children, my guy. Matter of fact, he almost got Ren too. So there was almost no face stay night just because of these two. Tokiomi was a pretty horrible nigga too, gang. First off, he was trying to betray Gilgamesh, and he was about to use his command spells to make him kill himself like Caleb did Lancer, and end his face off with Karia. He reveals his motive behind sending Sakura off to the Mato house, and it's really trash. Extremely trash. So basically, he sent her off so her and Ren could eventually have a battle in the future, right? Instead of, being a normal, compassionate parent and loving both of your daughters and training them to both become good mages himself, he made it so the winner of their eventual battle would end up being the one he claims, essentially throwing away the other one. As a man, this shit disgusts me, nigga. I'm already overprotective about my daughter and her ass don't even exist yet. So seeing this nigga treat his daughters like some damn 4-star prospects is like nasty work to me, folks. There were some seemingly good moments from him in the beginning, but honestly, it seemed like it was all a lie. I feel bad for Ren, but we smoking on his pack regardless. I'm not gonna lie. Tokiomi's a bitch. I'm not gonna lie. Now we move on to the man himself. None other than Chief Executive Officer of Dick Radin Incorporated, Mr. Kirei. My God, this dude is an awful person. I mean, where do I start? If he didn't pursue Emiya, a lot less blood would have been shed. This nigga done deceived everyone in the show. He saved Karia just to end up framing him from Tokiomi's death. And he probably had arranged Ayoi to pull up, damn near getting her killed in the process. And he and Gilgamesh was just sitting on the balcony watching all this unfold, by the way. He killed Ren's father after promising Ren that he'll take care of him and make sure that he doesn't get hurt. He killed Iris for damn near no reason. She was already reverting back to her Grail form anyway, and he only kidnapped her to find out Emiya's wish was for the Grail. Gang, the dick eating is crazy. Not only did he kill Ren's father, the nigga had the nerve to be the priest at the funeral. And not only was he was the priest at the funeral, but this grimy nigga got the nerve to give Ren the knife that he killed him with to her as a present. Like, what kind of sick and demented nigga? Bro, what you on? But I'm not gonna lie, he's a pretty good antagonist figure because you hated that nigga. You hated that nigga when you watched this, folks. So I would say they did a pretty good job with him. I'm not gonna lie, I gotta talk about Gilgamesh, gang. Gilgamesh is a pretty funny nigga, gang. I'm not gonna lie. If we keep it a bean, he's just as horrible as Kirei, but he's just funny. He is like a funny asswipe, so it makes him way more likable. I don't think King of Heroes is the proper title for this nigga anymore. I think he should just be referred to as the King of Instigating. He might give my nigga Josh a run for his money, but then again, I feel like if he threw Brodnum in that bitch, things probably could have turned out even worse. So I don't know. The thing is with Gilgamesh that you can't even be mad at the nigga for real, because he already told you that he doing all this for purely entertainment. He didn't even care about the Grail War or the Holy Grail. He didn't care about either one of them shit. He cared about seeing what humans did. At the same time, it's wild. It's like they wrote him pretty well because he's not entirely an evil being. Otherwise, Wave Ass will probably be dead. And he probably could have just slaughtered everyone in the show with his noble phantasm. So he's definitely horrible, but I can't call him 100% evil. Now let's move on to the looks, presentation, and music. As the title says, Phase Zero is around 13 years old, which is absolutely insane. Because there's a lot of anime that's coming out now and airing right now and coming out in 2024 that can't hold a candle to this shit. Phase Zero is damn near flawless when it comes to visual. And it might be the most visually pleasing anime out there along with its counterparts, of course. It wouldn't be me if we didn't talk about the fights, folks. So let's talk about a few of my favorites. Emiya versus Kirei has a really good argument to be considered one of the best fights in the series. It was no super flashy magic attacks, there were no noble phantasm or reality marbles that transport you to big battlefields. This shit was just hands, guns, and choreography actually. It's super impressive to have all these really flashy fights with hella magic and crazy attacks and shit, and the fight between two masters finds a way to stand out for itself. This was disgusting. Emiya's reality marble powers are really well utilized, and Kirei's martial arts made this unforgettable, folks. I love the setting of this fight too. They basically fought in that place where all the rappers be shooting music videos for, and they made a classic in the same location, which is funny as hell. Ryder versus Assassin was godlike too. Reality marbles are just goated, gang. Ryder using his reality marble to transfer all the assassins to this huge, like, deserted battlefield with, like, nowhere to hide was, like, a really good strategy move, first off, and it just looked really cool. And then you see, like, seeing all the armies that he conquered under his command charge, literally just, like, millions of servants, folks. Hawk down all those assassins was just raw as hell to me. And it made it even better that it was just a flex to Saber. Like, I think that was like partially like a flex to Saber, because that was when they had that discussion of what a king is. The whole scramble with Ryder, Lancer, and Saber versus Caster was goated as well. I love the fight between Berserker and Gilgamesh that was going on while this is happening. The main thing that I remember from this fight is Lancer lifting Saber's curse and then seeing Saber use Excalibur for the first time. It's not much shit in anime that you're gonna see that's gonna be prettier than this, gang. This was just a phenomenal moment, and the music that they played during this sequence was absolutely godlike as well, bro. The choirs, the fucking chorus, oh my god, the orchestra. It just did a really good job of setting the tone of that scene. Ryder versus Gilgamesh was pretty fire too, because we got to see that same reality marble that I think is so cool get destroyed in an instant by Gilgamesh's noble phantasm. This fight did a good job at showing us how nasty this nigga Gilgamesh is, and how big the difference in power was between him and Ryder. It's beauty behind the destruction of his reality marble, and the music really just sells the finale of this fight extremely well. I love this fight. As a nigga that used to skip anime intros because they be having spoilers, I never heard like the intro songs before when I watched anime. But now that I realize that Twitter has taken that spot in my life for spoiling me, I just started running through the intros, and the Phase Zero intros and outros are great. I don't know who made the outro songs for Emiya's backstory episodes. Gee, y'all did shot shit, boy. Those songs are so good. I'm finna add them all to the Arigato playlist. So, link in the description for that, if I remember to put it in there. The music in this show is really good. Everything matches musically the epic shit that I see on my screen. So great job to Ufotable. Great job to the chorus that sung, great job to the instrumentalists that played, and the creators of the intro and outro songs as well. Y'all all did a phenomenal job. And the voice actors too. Let's not forget the voice actors. Y'all did a great job as well. I'm so glad that I revisited Phase Zero, gang. The first time that I watched it, I was like watching it with my homies, and it was like I was super impatient and not really locked into the story as much as I should have been. But even so, that still led to me thinking that this is one of the best anime ever, which is crazy. And I didn't even get the full experience. Now that I've revisited it and my brain is like way past the action only phase and I no longer have the attention span of a hush puppy, I was able to experience the show in all of its glory. This show is way better on my second watch, like exponentially better. It's always fun putting together puzzles that you couldn't put together before, and it shows growth. It helps you look at past things differently, and maybe you even look at them in a completely different way. And that's how I felt kind of watching Phase Zero again. So yes, to answer your question, Phase Zero is still good 13 years later, my nigga. That's crazy. And honestly, you should go rewatch it too. That's all for me, gang. As always, man, I hope y'all have a great day, man. Love y'all, man. Peace. I figured I might as well rewatch Fate Stay Night since I already rewatched Zero last year. And it's crazy because it's been so long since I've seen this, and I've like matured so much as an anime watcher and as like a person, that this feels like an entirely new show in this rewatch. Like, there's so much shit that I skipped on my first watch through, and there's so much that I forgot about, and this rewatch has gave me like a completely like new appreciation for the series type shit. Obviously, I thought it was good when I watched it back in the day, but after finishing that last episode, nigga, this shit is different. So let's chop it up. So to give you some context on my thoughts on the show, like before I watched it, I just want to let niggas know that I was a fight scene nigga before. So anything regarding character personalities and character dynamics and like spending time on building the characters, that was pretty much like super unimportant to me. anything I didn't deem like important got skipped, including the beginning of the show, which is crazy enough. The beginning sequence was really good though, now that I actually pay attention, and I really got to see how effective the prologue was when it came to the setup of the show. I think the thing that grasped me the most about the prologue is how dedicated Ren was to carry out her father's will. Coming from Zero, you know that Ren admires her father as a mage, and she wants to win this whole war just to gain respect for her family name and honor her father type shit. It's funny getting reintroduced to some of these niggas. Like, I remember my nigga that looked like Ida, I think his name is, from My Hero. I remember him being pretty cool. I think I remember Shinji mostly from the Heavensfield movies, but I remember him being a bitch ass nigga no matter what series he's in. So this might be crazy, but I remember I used to hate this nigga Shiro, bro. Like I pretty sure I used to hate this nigga a lot. So if you didn't watch my Phase Zero video, you should know that like Emiya from that show is one of my favorite anime characters of all time. That nigga was like ruthless, smart, and folks was damn near like shooting all his problems on some funny shit. The only thing I didn't like about folks is how much he like partook in them Siggy Wiggies he used to be smoking, folks. Like, nigga, put them fucking squares down, nigga. What's wrong with you? But anyway, seeing this nigga do all this funny shit and all this savage shit, and to see his son just be absolute buns, like that just didn't sit right with my spirit, nigga. Like, I thought this little nigga was gonna be Damian Wayne or some shit. Like, nah, this nigga's Damien from Spy Family. Like, Lord, I ordered Damian Wayne, not Damon Wayne's. And I know it's an unrealistic expectation to have, but let a nigga dream, man. Like, I thought he was gonna raise his son to be this raw ass nigga like he was. But anyway, the scene where Ren summoned Archer was hard. At least Ufotable's putting that tax money to good use type shit, you know? Shorty was hitting that wing dragon and raw chant, folks. She was going stupid on that something this part. Hey, this nigga Archer came in swaggy as fuck, folks. Foden was aura farming since frame one. Nigga was sitting on that couch cool as hell. Obviously, I ain't paid much attention to this back in the day, but I really like how they established Archer and Ren's relationship like immediately. And it pretty much stayed the same way to like the very end. These two niggas talk like they're each other's ops, but they're like an amazing team. Like, using the command seal for that bullshit is insane, bro. Like, what the fuck? The initial exchange was pretty cool and funny, but bro, this nigga Archer was really like cooking her shit with some of these remarks, bro. Listen to this. Watch what she say right here. I ain't know a bow shooting bitch ass nigga like you would know about no reality. The bow shooting weak ass nigga to know about it, that's all. Watch him break her ass down. One dribble? Check up. Nah. Nah, don't be apologizing. Check up, little nigga. One dribble? Sham God. Yeah, you failed. Like, oh my God, Ren, get off the court, nigga. You're embarrassing yourself. Good Lord. These niggas ain't take too long to get the fight started either, because niggas was really throwing them bitches in episode 0, folks. Archer squaring up and Lancer funny as hell, because everybody was assuming that this nigga Archer was gonna pull out a bow with a switch on that bitch. That nigga Archer say, nah, gang, I got them bitches. Hit a mean ass flash step, nigga. Like, hold on, nigga. What Roberta teach you that shit, folks? Took a page of the Roberta book with that bitch. Not a bow in sight. Like, this nigga Archer was really throwing them bitches with Lancer. And in reality, the nigga should be at a huge disadvantage with his class. This nigga Archer got a crazy ass poker face too, cause that nigga faced that noble fence at him like he was gonna survive that bitch. But after the fast folks talking about, nah, I think you saved my life. It's just like, I couldn't tell, nigga. Like, what the fuck? You was just sitting there cool as hell. It was cool to see my nigga Saber come back in this sequence too. We got a glimpse of Gilgamesh too. And I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see what this ignorant ass nigga on. I love Gilgamesh. They kind of baited me though. I thought Ren was gonna be the MC. And then like they introduced Shiro and had him like go up to the point where he got his ass smoked. Side note, is they teacher fine or is it just me? Like, am I tweaking here? She, you know, you feel me? Shiro's introduction was really cool too. It's pretty cool to see all the flashbacks and kind of see like a more mild manner post Grail War Emiya. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little weird seeing that nigga be like a gentle human being, because that nigga was literally King Von in the last Grail War, like no bullshit. But no funny shit, like it was a cool little moment to see Shiro tell his pops that he was gonna become the hero that he was never able to become type shit. I think that's really sweet. Seeing Emiya like kind of relieved to hear Shiro say that shit and actually like see him give off a genuine smile was like a sweet little moment for you. Just don't expect that from that savage ass nigga in Zero, fuck. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't even know why I hated Shiro so much at the start. Nigga was literally getting hunted down by a servant for the first 2 episodes. Nigga, if I was in his situation, I damn near would have been mad at Ren for reviving me low key. Like, thanks for them. Not a nigga in a Fashion Nova bodysuit with the Pyro 20 stick gonna be on my ass again. Thanks, Red. Appreciate it, man. I'm glad he summoned Saber though, cause that nigga was definitely about to get turned to a fresh Shishka nigga in his own crib, folks. The funnier part about this whole sequence of like Lancer trying to smoke this nigga was when Ren was like, wow, you fought him off this whole time? He say, nah, he really just been kicking my butt. like type shit. I feel it. Appreciate the honesty, my boy. Like, I genuinely don't know what I was on with this nigga in the beginning though, folks. Like, they got this nigga in a Dead by Daylight game before the war even started. And at this point in the show, this nigga's like a perfectly seasoned and perfectly smoked prime rib in the middle of a carnivorous ecosystem. Like, this nigga's a Fortnite llama in the middle of Tilted, folks. He lucky Lance is such a chill nigga, because he definitely could have sent his ass to the Shadow Realm way before Saber was summoned. I think Saber was really about to, really like get down on Archer and Ren ass, but then Shiro like used the command seal to stop her, if I remember that right. And then that's why Ren helped him in the beginning and caught him all up on the war and shit. But that includes a little intro sequence. It was really cool. I like that. I like the intro to the show. The church visit was pretty funny, because they introduced the shystiest nigga in the entire series, Kirei. Fodenham as such a hating ass nigga, folks. I know for a fact, soon as he heard Shiro's last name, he heard Emiya, folks, that nigga hit the Birdman hand rub with the Tattletale Strangler laugh. Follow right after that bitch, folks. He hated Emiya from the last war. He really had an unhealthy obsession with that nigga, and for no good reason, if I remember that correctly. Like, he made that nigga his #1 op for no reason. You know he gonna be on. He gonna try to make his son suffer in this bitch. The next fight funny as hell. We gotta break this bitch down. So after Ren and Shiro get done with the church, these niggas ready to like part ways on and go home type shit. It's a cool little moment too. For Shiro said some nice shit to Ren, got her ass blushing, but then Saber hit a fat ass on the dime Yui folk and turns around. So when Saber does any sudden movements like that, something's wrong. So I'm wondering who it was. It's Emiya's daughter, folk. Her little ass say, y'all done? And then they cut and zoom out to her ass standing next to this goddamn 7-3 paint beats with goddamn rebound and takeover, goddamn it. like no, bro. Look at this nigga, man. This nigga just standing there unga bungally. This nigga look like he walk on his knuckles for fun sometimes. Like, just for the sport. This nigga built like a Russell Westbrook layup package, nigga. Like, now out of all niggas that her ass could have summoned, why y'all get her little insane ass Broly? Like, that's like giving a Mainsky walk him down a Kimbo rocket launchers with unlimited ammo and a switch on each one. Fuck them just standing there breathing hard as hell like, protein, macros, protein. Like, so these niggas obviously were in a less than optimal situation at that point. So I started thinking like of his like possible weaknesses. I'm like, maybe he's slow. Maybe he's not as agile. He can't move around like that since folks built like a coma on creatine. I shit you not. This nigga shut me the fuck up off of one leap, folks. Look at this shit. Ain't no way this big ass nigga moving like that, folks. Ain't no way he moving like that. That's crazy. This nigga is way too swole to be hitting flippy dips like that, folks. This nigga got a Bobby Lashley or a Biggie Langston build with a Rey Mysterio or a Sin Cara agility, folks. Like, nah, nigga, your ass cheating, you big bitch. This nigga's like the Hulk on Marvel Rivals, but like give him like Black Panther's kit in his moveset. That nigga Archer shot those arrows and they ain't do shit but scratch the nigga itchy hair on his back, man. I'm like, god damn, what is this nigga? Then this nigga flash steps right next to Shiro, and he was trying to end that bitch right there, folks. Like, he was not fucking around. If I was that nigga Shiro, boy, I promise you, boy, you wouldn't even be able to determine the depth of the dastardly amount of dookie running down my dungarees within that moment, nigga. Like, Saber thankfully comes in for the block, but nah, this shit just getting started, gang. So they get to throwing them bitches. Folks. Berserker swung and misses, and his weapon gets stuck in the ground. So trying to capitalize on this moment, Saber steps on it so he can't pick that bitch up again. And Ren says, got him. And she swings her invisible blade. But I don't think I was quite ready for what happened next, bro. Not only did this nigga dodge that bitch, this nigga leaned back and used the momentum from the dodge to try to do a backflip kick into Booker T's Spinneroonie, and then he hits the Sean from Third Strike Tatsu. Like, my fault, gang. Go get your weapon back, my nigga. Your ass get a little too freaky when you fight hand to hand, folks. So obviously, I'm never gonna disarm you again, bro. I'm sorry. Mind you, this whole time this fight going on, Archer is from across the country shooting arrows at this nigga. Neither him or Saber is doing a Doug Demodome damn to this nigga, boy. Ren trapped that nigga and Archer fire off this crazy ass barrage, and that nigga stood up and started aura farming. Like, what the fuck? He low-key hit the Akuma pose after, you know, after he hit the demon foe, after he landed demon foe, he hit that pose, folks. He clean with it, I'm not gonna lie, folks. It was a little aura farming ass, big aura farming ass. He clean with it though. So they scrap a little bit more. Side note, this fight is extremely beautiful, by the way. So they end up in this cemetery. And they have this little exchange, and Saber uses her holy sword and literally turns this nigga into origami, like standing origami, for like smoke this nigga. So I'm thinking, all right, man, good fight, good shit, Saber. Let's go home for another freaky ass nigga slide through this bitch. That nigga Archer, Tom Ball, that was raw, that was hard, but that wasn't enough. And some big shit that did not look like an arrow, folk. Nigga put a very dangerous and diabolical Frito twist on that bow, folks. Then they cut to this nigga Berserker. Somebody must have activated Monster Reborn or some shit, cause this nigga is standing back up and he's back in one piece all of a sudden and just fine. Like, yo, what the fuck? It was pretty short-lived though, cause that dangerous Frito that Archer put on that bow turned out to be a damn hollow purple, and that bitch just whacked his ass. But unfortunately, Archer just gave folks another reason to start aura farmer, cause he was saying he didn't give a damn, boy. Nigga took a page out of Roberta book and stood in that lava and shit like Mass Kane, folk. And I ain't gonna lie, for some reason, thank God they did this. Some reason Emiya was like, hey, Big Zerk, good job, folk. And that's enough. And the fight ended, thank God, because them niggas was not taking that nigga down. Pause. This is a good ass fight to start off, folks. Above all, I think this was really like to show Shiro this holy Grail War shit wasn't no game, and they can get real treacherous out here anytime, anywhere. I think Ren was really trying to get this nigga Shiro to understand that, but there's a disconnect, because it almost seemed like she trying to scare this nigga out of participating in the war, and Archer was trying to smoke this nigga too. But Shiro is so dead set on helping people that regardless of the circumstances, he's gonna throw himself in whatever danger shows up on some nut shit, like on some crazy shit. And I guess Ren took that personally because she tried to smoke that nigga at school. Like, damn. Like, side note, when anybody think that little pose she do when she shoot her magic funny as hell, like, I know major association robberies gotta be hilarious, nigga. Like, imagine walking up to a nigga, you trying to rob that nigga, you got that shit half free aim, so you got your arms folded, and you just walk up to that nigga, that shit half free aim, folk. Like, hey G, run them gems in that cash, fuck nigga, and they'll take you seriously. But then you start to straighten that arm out. You start to straighten that arm out. You know, up Wizard Blicky on that nigga. They like, oh, for my fault, G. When you walk out, you start to straighten that bitch out, bud. Oh my God. But not real shit though. Real was trying to like expedite folks' expiration date, my nigga. That nigga Shiro once in that classroom ran up that bitch and said, "It's so schnitzel," and blew that bitch down. Rick was trying to smoke that nigga. The wildest thing about this whole sequence is like, soon as a nigga heard a scream, that nigga Shiro was like, hey, Ren, come on, let's go help. Like, you know, she just wasn't on shit after that. Like, literally just fighting 40 seconds ago, just tried to kill that nigga, for like, try to turn that nigga to a connected dots page. And he was like, all right, we're friends now. Let's go help whoever screamed like that. The next little sequence in the school was cool, folks. That bitch ass nigga Shinji was a master for a little bit type shit. Side note, Ryder fine as hell, but y'all already knew that. I think the big highlight of this whole shit was how brave this nigga Shiro had became. It's a bit stupid, obviously, but him going face to face with Ryder and actually like mustering up the courage to actually talk shit to her fine ass took some balls. I ain't gonna lie, Shiro was tweaking. And am I tweaking? I think one of his arms was like out of commission when he tried to save Ren and shit, so like as if this ass nigga needed a handicap. After that, the little convo he had with Ren was pretty cool, for there was this huge contrast and how like Ren was parented and how Shiro was parented. It's kind of like yin and yang, but maybe that's why they work so well as a duo. See, Emiya raised Shiro after the war, and seeing all this destruction directly and indirectly caused by him, you could tell that he wanted to like raise Shiro with pure love and kind of shield him from all that shit. And this was like his second chance to be a father. He's making up for him abandoning Emiya type shit. Ren's father raised her with less love and treated her more like a pupil and less as a daughter. Obviously, as the head of the Tosaka family and having like a heavy ambition to win the Grail and like for the family name, and he's just like fixated on that. And he made sure his daughter would be a good maid so she can do that shit herself if he didn't win, which he did. So Shiro ends up being a better person as a result of Emiya's parenting, but Ren ends up being a better mage and a better strategist due to her father's parenting. As like time goes on, they both improve on each other's weaknesses. A lot of dialogue in Fate is like really good, and because shortly after, I think Shiro and Archer have like a pretty deep convo after. This convo hits so much harder as they finally like reveal who Archer is, but it makes sense. It makes a little bit more sense to talk about it later. But I do want to point out the contrast between Archer and Shiro talking about servants are just like tools. I think Archer says that servants are just like tools and shit like that. And you know, Shiro love everybody, folks. He even love like the horrible niggas. Obviously, Shiro didn't agree with that, and Archer really wasn't fucking with him, folks. Even though he was like told to protect that nigga, Archer did not fuck with Shiro at all. I think the whole finding Caster sequence was pretty decent too. I think the high points of this sequence were Saber versus Assassin. Caster actually pointing out how similar Archer and Shiro are, and them damn near getting like offended in sync, kind of further proving her point was kind of funny. Like, and obviously you can't forget about the hardest line in the whole show, folks. I am the bone of my sword. Like, hey, that shit hit, folks. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but when Japanese niggas say like they technique names in English, folks, that shit be raw as hell, folks. Just like when Shadow from Eminence and Shadow ass be like, I am atomic. Like, yo, that shit raw, fuck. I knew Archer didn't like Shiro ass at this point, but I didn't know it was enough to try to smoke that nigga. Like, I didn't know it was that deep, fuck. He really must have seen like how ass this nigga Shiro was and got offended. Like, he must have been so ass and it made him mad, folks. It is wild, cause like when that nigga Shiro woke up after Archer tried to kill that nigga, folks, he just acted like he didn't care. Shit. He even started to try to like mimic that nigga fighting style. Like, admiring the nigga that just tried to kill you 9 hours ago is a little insane. But Shiro's a different nigga from me, man. The next sequence back at the school was pretty cool. I think the main things I fuck with out of this little arc was how level-headed and smart this nigga Shiro has become. I think at this point, Ren's ideology has rubbed off on him a little bit, because this nigga is way more logical and calculated and shit. Like, Ren even surprised at this point. The only bad thing about this arc is the fact that we lost a bad bitch, man. RP Rider, man, going too soon. They had a little downtime after this, and I am not gonna lie. This nigga Kirei is a shiesty hating ass nigga. It was funny as hell how he fried Shinji ass, folk. That nigga told Shinji ass straight up, folk. He said, you a sorry bitch, folk. And you the first nigga in the Grail War to get knocked out this fast and deplete out the war this fast. That shit is funny as hell, folk. Call that nigga a bitch to his face like he deserved. That was satisfying. Unfortunately, this nigga got another servant though. Unfortunately.
Emiya? Ise. 何も聞かずに裸になれ。いいか、脱げ！
Boy, if you don't get your freaky ass fuck, what is this? Coming into a room and locking the door behind you and telling me to strip is diabolical Diddy work, my nigga. Like, relax, man. Pause, man. And this little sequence, a little downtime, there's a little scene that's like eye-opening here too. So I completely forgot that Sakura is Ren's whole ass sister. I forgot. And I like how they had her ask Shiro that oddly specific hypothetical question, showing us that like she still cares for her a lot. Actually, as I like wrote this shit, I literally made the connection. Didn't Ren say some shit like, what am I gonna tell her when Lancer smoked that nigga in the school? Was she referring to Sakura since like they were so close? Like her and Shiro were so close? If so, that's pretty raw. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like how they did that. So the next part is damn near the funniest part of the show. And we gotta break this shit down. This shit had me in tears the first time I watched it. So Ren and Shiro have been trying to find out who was Caster's master. Hence why Shiro went to Issei on that Diddy shit, to ask him to strip and see if he had command skills or shit. So they start to suspect the teacher that Issei talks to on a regular named Kuzuki. I think that's his name. So they decide to lay out a trap for folks on their way back home at this little abandoned G station. Like, all right, cool. They staking out, right? And they spot this nigga. And then Ren hit this nigga with a missile schnitzel and he just eat that bitch. And I ain't gonna lie, I was like, uh-oh. Like, that already shows me that we're indeed not dealing with a regular nigga here. But I didn't know this nigga was this different, folks. So once he get hit, like, Caster come through and say, you should have just stayed at the temple, woo woo woo, none of this would have happened. And this nigga response pretty much set the tone for everything that followed. This nigga say, nah, fool, that's cool. After all, we've caught our prey. What you mean, prey gang? This Mr. Crocker ass nigga up here talking like he the predator or some shit. And then he shut my stupid ass up immediately. Folks, Saber rushed Kuzuki ass down with that Invisalign ass sword she got, folks. And Shorty jumped in the air
and caught that bitch in between his thigh and his elbow. Yeah, we got another freaky ass nigga here, man. You mean to tell me he couldn't just dodge that bitch like a regular nigga, man? Matter of fact, let's take a step back. Why can't you see this motherfucker? What's to your substitute teacher ass, nigga? Like, who are you, folks? Photo ass hit the killer with shadow walk right behind her ass and told her ass no self-serving, gave her ass a hood classic, a neck respect, and smacked the shit out of the back of her neck, folks. That shit was bleeding and shit. That nigga walked her shit down and get to throwing these heavy ass thunkers like, here. Like, yeah, oh my God, folks. If you listen to them bitches, you know why Saber had to dodge them bitches. Them bitches sound like they hurt, folks. Nigga fist got sharpness 5 and smite on them bitches, folks. Walked her ass down and hit her ass with a one-handed hammer fist. That bitch sounded like a Minecraft lightning strike, no bullshit. Saber is getting her ass cooked, gang. This is a servant, my nigga. Then I don't even know what folks even did right here. He got low as hell and then rushed her shit and then pulled his hand back. And that shit just snatched Saber ass right into this nigga hand like he Ermac or some shit. Like this nigga's tweaking, folks. But Saber still fighting back. Her ass swing back like I ain't no goofy, folks. Hold on. Swing that bitch. Instantly miss, folks. That nigga makes her shit and then throws her ass down the block back into the G station they was posted up in before, folks. Like, damn. Mind you, this is Saber we talk about here. This is a servant that Rin wanted to summon the most. After this fight, if I'm Rin, I'm really wondering why I couldn't summon this nigga. Like, nah, real shit though. If you squint your eyes really hard, if you look at this nigga, he really just told you without the protein powder and the parlays, folks. If you look at this nigga hard enough, folks. I ain't never seen no nigga just like manhandle a servant like that, folks. Like a nigga in the street, let alone like Saber. Out of all them niggas, like, why is bro a master? You mean to tell me before the war, we just had a super nigga just walking amongst us the whole time, folks? I don't know what Rin found the confidence after watching Saber get her ass kerfuffle snoofed, folks. But shit, she had it and she started firing off them schnitzels, folks. Kuzuki ass say, rushed her shit down and put everything in that low hook to the body, folks. Like, look at how stretched out this nigga is. Pause. He put everything into that bitch, for look at his arm, bro. Like he wanted that bitch to hurt. For one shot, body shot, put her ass in nappy EP time immediately. So then Shiro realized like, hey, that's my bitch you just knocked out, bucko. And rushed that nigga super assly. Like no technique, no plan, no nothing. He get hit with a dirty combo. That nigga say boom bop, bing bop, boom bop, bam. The type of shit I'm on you don't understand, for and uppercut it the fuck out that nigga Shiro, for. Look at his face, G. Look at his face. The show could have easily ended right here. No bullshit. But Kuzuki eased off them niggas. Them niggas live to fight another day somehow. This sequence was so goated because we ain't never seen a servant just receive them bitches like that, folks. Like, don't get me wrong. Emiya was nasty, folks, but he wasn't putting the paws on Saber. He wouldn't have put the paws on Saber ass like that. Hell no, I don't think so, folks. This whole shit just adds like an interesting dynamic to like the whole war. Now that we know like a super nigga and there are super niggas among us, and like now like there's a nigga out there that's just as much as a problem as Caster is, like on some crazy. And this is a regular nigga. After it winds down, they kind of baited us with like a little date episode. Now, like, this is my first time watching it because old me would have like dislocated every bone in my hand skipping this shit. But like, it's really cool to see these niggas actually be like normal people for a little while. Like Saber too. But that shit did not last long at all, folks. Caster got them caught up in some bullshit. And long story short, it ends up with Saber being taken away and Shiro losing his command seals was pretty tragic. And he not being a master no more. But after Shiro lost Saber, bro, it got worse because Rin started to be super cold to this nigga, man. Which makes sense because Rin always been like the logic over emotion type. But damn, leaving that nigga behind to fight Castle was kind of rough to watch, folks, because them niggas was just like a good team for real. And she acting like that time never existed type shit. I know you're trying to protect them, but damn, man. Like, what you on, my nigga? But niggas knew Shiro, folks. Nigga know Shiro. Shiro wasn't going for that shit. And one Elden Ring Int build fight later between Rin and Cass, that nigga came to save her ass immediately. She's talking about, Shiro, why are you here? You know why you're here. Because he fucking love you, doo-doo dunderhead. Not gonna lie, that Archer betrayal, it was super convincing because folks was already like acting weird as hell, like suggesting joining Caster on some weird shit. And I was already thinking like, damn, Archer, you a bitch, but you a cool ass bitch. You know that? After that little sequence without Archer and Saber, them niggas call a truce. They trying to like go call the truce with Alien type shit. And this is where we get my nigga Gilgamesh, folks. This was cool, folks. That nigga absolutely shit on those maids, boy. And he hasn't changed a bit. He's still just a shit talking, funny ass, ignorant nigga, folks. Gilgamesh versus Berserker was a really good ass fight too. But bro, I don't remember that shit being like that sad. So like I said earlier, Emiya from Phase Zero is one of my favorite characters in anime. But this is really the first time I got to like really see the harsh reality caused by his actions type shit, like in full. And like it hits so hard here. That nigga really abandoned Alien and started a whole new family gang. They get kind of confusing, so I'm not sure about the whole scene in Zero where he like denied the Grail and they show him shooting her mom and shit and like what that meant. But I know like he had Saber destroy the Grail and she was a vessel if I'm not mistaken, so he technically got her mom killed. But I could be tweaking here. The main thing that I'm thinking about is like Alien was still at that castle waiting for that nigga. That nigga never returned. Like that's pretty fucked, folks. And Emiya even knew that he even went to go start a new family, and she was trying to make that nigga Shiro atone for his father's sins type shit. Mind you, this little girl can't be more than like 10 years old. Maybe I'm tweaking. And if you watch any of my videos, I hate when like children go through like bullshit that they're not supposed to go through. Like, so this ain't really sit well in a nigga spirit at all. And it even made me look at Emiya kind of weird, folks. Like you smoke cigs and you abandon your daughter, for like double whammy, folks. She even had to like find peace and solace in that fucking paint beast that she walking around with. Nigga, when Gilgamesh like cut her eyes and she was sitting there dying and she like grabbed that rock looking for Berserker after he already disappeared and she was like, there you are. He was like, felt like relieved that she thought Berserker was like holding her hand and shit. That shit hit me hard, man. It's so like conflicting because I really still like Gilgamesh because he's just a funny, arrogant ass nigga. But he did Ilya ass so bogus, folks. After that sequence, one of the coolest niggas in the show pull up. That nigga Lancer the GOAT, gang. Shiro's condition to accept his help was funny as hell. That nigga did not like all them compliments Lancer was giving Ren, folks. That nigga said, hey, that's my bitch. Low-key, besides the main two fights after this, Archer versus Lancer might be top 3 fights in the show, folks. The fight choreography in this shit was fire. Them taxes definitely didn't get paid here. And Archer hit us with another one, folks. I am the pawn of my sword. Hey! Like, nah, real shit. You know what's crazy about this? Like, this shit is insanely raw, right? But if you sit here and think about this shit objectively, all this nigga doing is blocking. Like, but this is a raw ass block though. It is a super effective way to make something as trivial as blocking super cool. I think that's really creative how they did that shit. After the conclusion of this, they revealed that Archer was like playing that role and like double crossing Caster and shit. It was pretty cool. It wasn't as obvious as I thought it would be because that nigga was just being weird, bro. But it all made sense type shit. And it pretty much confirmed my suspicions when Archer third party to fight. And his ass said trace on. I was like, that's pretty clever. I like how they did that shit. It's funny because after that, all that, I thought it was gonna be some happy shit. Like, all right, let's go home for the night and deal with Gilgamesh and shit. Like, Gilgamesh is the next target. No, that whole thing wasn't that. That nigga still wanted to kill that nigga Shiro. like, damn, boy, yo hating ass, boy. Like, god damn. This nigga Archer hated Shiro more than Kira hated Emiya for, and they the same nigga. Like, they literally the same nigga. That reality marble scene was super cool, but then again, like, I haven't seen one bad reality marble yet. Nigga, like, bro, that nigga Archer even went as far as like taking Ren hostage. So them niggas had to gear up for one final battle between Shiro and Archer, folks. Now, I'm not gonna cap. I think writing wise, music wise, and overall impact wise, I think Shiro versus Archer is probably the best fight in the show and probably one of the best fight in all the series that I've seen so far. Gang, it's not even just a fight. It's really how they brought this shit all together through the dialogue and shit. The way this shit is written is like crazy. You ever seen one of those posts where it say like, if you could tell kids you one thing, what would you tell them? That's basically what this fight is. Archer's story is sad as shit because we finally get to see the reason why he like seemingly hates Shiro and why he wants to kill that nigga so bad. He is the embodiment of the path that he wants to go down. And the nigga is mad that even with him like telling Shiro the pain and the loss that he's gonna like, that's gonna come with this path, that nigga Shiro does not care. Deep down, I think this nigga Archer wants to stop him on this painful journey now, because death might be easier to deal with than devoting your life to endlessly helping other people type shit. if that makes sense. And call me crazy, but that's real. I think it does look crazy on Shiro's side too. I get him as well. Even if I do end up like you, I still follow like my moral principles to get there, and I don't care what the results is. I'm doing this for our pops, bitch nigga. Like that's kind of the type shit. That's kind of the shit that he on. And you know what make this fight even more genius, folks? The fact that Saber is there. Like I don't know if y'all remember in Phase Zero, but there was this scene where like it was Ryder, Gilgamesh, and Saber were all like drinking and talking about what they wanted to do with the Grail. Ryder talked about conquest, I think, and Gilgamesh probably talked some shit about greed and riches and having like every treasure in the world or some shit. And after they talked about their dreams, Saber like kind of shit on their dreams for the Grail, and I ain't really like that. So then Saber tells them her dream is to like correct a mistake and change the past, and they got to laughing at her goof ass and shitting on her dream, as they should have. And I bring this up to say that Saber gets to see the mistake and the hope right in front of her with this battle, and it kind of opened her eyes. Before this fight, she still wanted to use the Grail to correct those mistakes, but after, she realized that the hope before the mistake isn't misguided at all. It's just doing shit based off a positive belief and sticking to it. And the hopeless person, after carrying out the belief, isn't wrong either. It just realized that the world wasn't gonna work for the hopeful young nigga that came before, like it was some kind of fairy tale or some shit like that. This writing is so good and the fight is so amazing in my opinion, because god damn, like this some real ass shit. The little side parts is cool as hell too. Lancer came up clutch as hell on the side, folks. I'm super glad he saved Ren before Shinji got to doing some weird shit, because I feel like that's exactly what that was going. I feel like there's some weird shit going on. Hey, this bitch ass nigga got a tribal sleeve of command seal. This nigga carry a cheating ass bitch. This nigga a cheating ass nigga. That nigga put in the San Andreas code and got a full sleeve on his shit. Shout out to Lancer for smoking that nigga Kirei, man. If anyone deserved it, it was that nigga, folks. And Shinji. And Shinji. Hey, Lancer funny as hell for saying this, folks. That nigga Lancer say, in about 3 years, holla at me, Miley Cyrus. The conclusion of this fight was really godlike, man. The scene where Shiro says, hey, that's hell you walking into over there, to his younger self while he was going through the fire and shit when he was a kid. And then when Shiro himself started walking forward and Archer say, hey, that's hell you're walking into, then, bro, nigga, that should have me smiling hard as hell, because that shit's so clever. I love this scene. I like the message here. I think the hell that Archer seen kind of made him forget about the root of his beliefs and his father and shit. And I can't fault him for that, man. Life hard, man. People hard to deal with, and that's completely valid. But the truly strong will always stand firm on the good ideals they believe in, or their dreams and passions, to the very end. And that goes for us too. No matter what the hell we see, we should always try to push forward for even just like the glimmer of hope or a chance at changing the future. Even if the seemingly destined future is right in front of us, like telling us that this shit ain't gonna work out. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's crazy, but like that's a strong ass belief, and that's a good trait to have. Even if your future self is telling you to lose hope and you'll regret it, hopefully you remember why you started and stand firm on it type shit. This is such a raw ass sequence, man. Like, but unfortunately Gilgamesh came through and ruined all this beautiful shit. Like all of it. Nigga smoked Archer, and Archer even told Shiro like that he was the only one that could beat him, and he actually meant that shit. You wouldn't dare hear Archer say no shit like that before this fight. Like I think Shiro actually kind of proved himself in this fight to Archer. The next sequence is raw as hell too. Small detail from Phase Zero, but I like how they actually let Saber fulfill her promise to like finish a duel this time. Because if you remember last time around, that nigga Emiya did some grimy ass shit and made Lancer off himself. So that was actually cool, letting her actually finish the promise fight with Assassin. I think that was really cool. Gilgamesh versus Shiro was still a work of art too. It was less of the writing and it was way more atmosphere, the music, the choreography, and all the other things that make a good fight type shit. The music during this fight was crazy, and shit was just gorgeous seeing like Shiro use a reality marble for himself and him going toe to toe with like Gilgamesh, one of the most feared niggas in all the series. Like this was raw, man. Just thinking about how much this nigga has improved from like the first few episodes is crazy. We got to see that nigga Gilgamesh pull out Aya, I think Aya, and that bitch started glitching the screen, folks. And shit, I know them power scale niggas had a field day with that bitch. I just know they did. For the ultraversal, I know niggas got the tweak when they seen that shit. Bro, when the Grail was trying to suck Gilgamesh in, pause. I don't know why this shit was so funny, but that nigga Gilgamesh said, plant your heels, ruffian. Like like, fuck, them ass can't even ask for help politely, so he can't even ask for help properly, bro. That shit's so fucking funny. Nigga, when they revealed Archer was alive, that shit was hype as fuck, cause how, nigga, how? That was a raw ass thing though, for I'm glad he headshotted that nigga, I ain't gonna lie. The ending sequence between him and Ren was pretty sad too. I think like the line that hit me the hardest was when Ren was crying and she said, but then you'll never be saved, after Archer said he not gonna forge another contract. I was like, damn, fuck, man, that's pretty rough to watch. But it was a little hope in there too, because you seen this nigga Archer like genuinely smile for the first time. He actually shows some compassion towards his past self, which is really cool. Like, I think Shiro actually proved himself to the nigga. The epilogue was great. I didn't watch it the first time, but seeing these niggas like in the future was really satisfying. Like, shows don't really do this like this. Seeing them as like students and shit was cool. We gotta talk about the D1 scraps here though. Ren and Luffy had a WWE championship match in this bitch, fuck. Bro, watch this. Drive rush into strong straight, into a Tatsu whip, into a Sean third strike kick is a devious combo to start off with, my nigga. But Luffy blocked all that. She say free eats, folks. Goku one leg Tenkaichi grabs her and throws her into the pillar, folks. Ren say, all right, cool, I'll get a nice little ab workout. Launches back into her and hits a Kung Lao slash Beautiful Joe style dive kick, folks. Shit was vicious. Luffy weave that bitch and then come out the smoke and hit her ass with a whole German suplex on some wild shit. Like, what? Who letting y'all do this shit? And you thinking like, all right, fight over. She's got her ass German suplex, folks. But apparently that shit was punishable on hit because Ren tapped into her inner haiku and got to playing volleyball with her goof ass, folks. This is a wild ass fight for an epilogue, gang. I'm glad I watched this time around. I can't believe I missed that. They did some more heartwarming shit in this episode too. Like visiting Saber's real gravesite was fire. That convo at the end was wildly good too. Like wildly good. I love how supportive Ren is. Like she will literally pack up everything to see, like, to go see the world with this nigga Shiro and support this nigga. Like, I need me a Ren in my life, folks. Shorty ass raw as hell. The story of Fate Stay Night overall gotta be one of the best stories I've ever seen in the show, no bullshit. All the Zero connections, all the foreshadowing, the crazy deep dialogue, the godlike fight scenes, and I haven't seen many anime that offer super high quality in almost every aspect across the board like Fate story. So this is some truly one of a kind shit, for I ain't gonna lie. Like they really did their shit with this. Now let's talk about some of the characters. Shiro is a really great MC. I think he's really easy to root for because he got so much shit going against him. Like real shit, put yourself in his shoes. You're this pure-hearted nigga with a dream of literally helping everyone and creating a world with no ass to cry. Like nigga, that's already ass enough. Like it's already a bunch of ass shit you have to deal with. But every day you wake up and hear a nigga call your dream stupid. Every day you're thrown into this war you don't know shit about and you almost just got smoked just because your ass was at school a little too late. Like this nigga's going through bullshit, gang. This nigga future self looked him in his eyes and said the route you're taking is ass, and since you don't want to listen to your future, I'm just gonna smoke your ass to prevent you from going through that pain. Like bro, what? Nigga got a whole sister that got smoked right in front of him that he didn't even like get to know because his pops abandoned all them niggas. The more the odds are stacked against a nigga, the more I wanted him to win. It's kind of like Naofumi and Shield Hero type shit. Shiro is the ultimate underdog, and I'm glad that we never seen him falter, even when the people that like loved him doubted him. I like how him and Ren kind of implanted their best qualities within each other. Ren's best quality is obviously like her logic and like how calculated she is and how composed she is. Like over the duration of the show, it's crazy though. Like you know how wild a faith you have to literally look your future self in the eye that went through all the shit that you thinking about going through and tell him that you don't give a fuck what he's seen. Like this nigga knows everything that happens, and folks sitting there like, hey, we'll get there when we get there. No matter how horrible the shit sound, like he was just determined to get that Hero of Justice title just for their pops, folks. I think that's so cool, folks. And he wasn't like strong the whole time, so it just makes it 10 times better. And like Ren cool too. Like just like Ren takes Shiro's best quality, which is like his compassion for people. Like Ren always had her personal feelings, I feel like, but I felt like the way she was raised kind of taught her to harden her heart. And sometimes she's just a little too good at that shit, if that makes sense. She be even doing it for people that she loved, folks. She did Shiro as a little dirty when he lost Saber, folks. And granted, that was a logical choice, but Shiro's emotions be leading to certain breakthroughs that logic wouldn't be able to accomplish. And his compassionate nature saved her several times, like saved her life several times. I'm glad that she started to show that she cares more throughout the story. I'm really glad they showed us that she's still a little concerned for her sister too, even though she was shipped off to a different family. I kind of like how they did that. And I'm glad she's turned into this nurturing, reliable figure for Shiro by the end of it. I think Ren's a really good character. Archer is a pretty interesting character. He's literally future Shiro, but he acts like this kind of like twisted big brother type shit. And I feel like his heart was in the right place most of the time, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the bullshit that he was on was really to see like how strong Shiro stood on his beliefs. I think all that time around, Shiro actually started giving that nigga a little bit of hope, even though he is his future. I think that's so crazy. And it's crazy because like, he just know his future, nigga. Like, it's wild. This nigga turned into Emiya. All the killing, losing things close to them, like they take on all the suffering. Like this is Emiya. Like this is literally the same shit. And all this horrible shit he did for all those years. And really on some like looking like your damn daddy type shit. Like it takes that to a whole new level type shit. Emiya is a really good character, man. Her story is so damn sad, gang. I ain't watch her backstory episode the first time around, but seeing her have these like visions of her mom telling her that her dad abandoned her and went to start a new family, rough. Man, rough. And you can't help but think like, damn, she was really alone waiting for this nigga. It's like 10-year-old girl was like sitting there alone waiting for this nigga, waiting for Emiya to come back to her. He never did, and he just even died without even thinking about visiting her once. She had a whole brother that she despises just because Emiya raised that nigga. She died without getting any kind of closure. Like if you think about that shit, that's just super rough. Her story is sad as shit. I don't remember it being that sad. Lancer was a really cool nigga in the show. Like outside of trying to smoke Shiro that first time, he really just did his own thing. I like how he ain't really like compromise his morals for no one. Even when Kirei shiesty ass used that command seal, that nigga did what was right to the very end. I really vibe with it. Like he's just a cool nigga, bro. He's one of the coolest niggas in the show. Caster and Kuzuki were surprisingly great characters. So unlike last caster from Zero, this one actually has a moral compass of some sort. I didn't watch her backstory episode on my first watch, so I ain't really know. But it's cool to see that she ain't really like her previous master using children to make like magic crystals and shit, and she freed them all and destroyed that sick ass lab that nigga had. And her motives ain't like that bad either. From what she said and from what her master said, she just wanted to go back home. Obviously her ass shiesty, but she ain't nowhere near as shiesty as the other caster from the previous one. Phase Zero, hell no. Kuzuki is a really fascinating character too. I don't think I've ever seen a nigga written like that, like ever. Nigga views good and evil as like complete equals, and he literally has no moral compass. He's completely emotionless and cold until it like comes to Caster, which is kind of cool. I like how his goal that he never told Caster was to get Caster home, and that's actually pretty sweet for a nigga that's damn near dead inside. I think Kuzuki actually ended up being a pretty decent character. The main thing I like about Fate overall with his characters is how none of them feel wasted. The only characters that in this route of Fate Stay Night that really didn't get like much screen time was Ryder, Kirei, and Sakura a little bit. But Fate literally has a whole movie trilogy and makes any underutilized character feel super important in that movie trilogy. Fate's characters are like special. They're like spectacular, and shout out to all the VAs. Y'all did y'all shit on these characters. I'm not gonna lie. This show is a lot to digest. It's so much content in Stay Night, and I think I almost got like overwhelmed in my script writing process because I wanted to really show this show love and really like show niggas how brilliant this shit is. Phase Zero and Phase Stay Night are shows that kind of stick with you. Like it's not something you can really like pick up, put down, forget about. These might be some of the best anime I've ever seen. And though this video took hella long to make and it was hella stressful creating this shit, I think it was worth it just based off of the experience these shows gave me. But that's all for me, man. As always, man, I hope y'all have a great day, man. Love y'all, man. Peace.